I didn't think it was going to come that fast, but we got some breaking news. Here we are. The Pittsburgh Steelers finally make a trade when it comes for the wide receiver position. They give away their second round pick for star wide receiver DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. He is also getting a new 5-year deal. DK Metcalf, that is going to be a $150 million contract. As of right now, I don't think all the details are set in, but huge deal, blockbuster trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers, grabbing a star wide receiver. This is a move that the Steelers have been trying to make since last offseason when the whole Brandon Ayuk orchestra occurred. And, well, here we are, the Steelers making the move as fast as possible, getting this thing done. And I like it. I mean, you have a big body wide receiver who can block, who's not afraid to put himself in the middle of the of the pile, so to speak. He's not a guy that's going to be taking off plays. I mean, do you guys remember that play where there was an interception and the guy was running back, Buda Baker, I believe it was, against the Cardinals, and DK just came from behind and tackled him? 100% effort guy, team guy is going to put it all on the line. He's the kind of guy that you want in your locker room, maybe even a guy that you want showing the way for George Pickens, saying like, this is the type of effort, this is the type of effort you need to put on every play, the what is required of him, so that way he can become a receiver that can get a major deal such as this. Huge deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of questions though. How is this going to work? Who is going to be number 14? Does George Pickens stay on the team? I mean, he's going into his last season of his rookie deal. A lot of people were expecting, including George Pickens last year going into this past season, that he was going to have an excellent year and that this offseason was going to be the year that he gets signed an extension. It's not him. It's DK Metcalf. Does George Pickens get dealt in the, in the draft? Does he now on the trade block, so to speak? A lot of concerns when it came to George Pickens last year, especially with the off the field antics, even on the field stuff, the lack of effort. Remember, there was several plays where it seemed like either he was jogging out there, not putting his all in there, and it affected plays. There was a time where, yes, it was Russ's fault that he threw over the middle against the Kansas City Chiefs and he got intercepted, and he should have looked over to see that George Pickens didn't run the right route, but he didn't do that, and so it ended up falling on the shoulders of the quarterback. However, I strongly suspect that George Pickens ran the right route. That may have gone for 6. Didn't? Well, now you have a DK Metcalf. This is a guy that can be a mentor to a George Pickens. He can show him the way, so to speak, on how to behave and how to act and how to be a professional and how to be a player that can earn a contract such as the one that he's getting right now. But I have some major questions and concerns about George Pickens as far as his availability to start of training camp and preseason. Is he going to be around? I'm not sure. But let's look at what this deal does for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start off first at looking at what he's done recently at his time with the Seattle Seahawks. All right, so let's go through. This is going to be through Pro Football Reference. In 2024, DK Metcalf played in 15 games. He had 66 receptions for 992 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns. His average yards per reception was 15 yards, so he is a deep down the field threat. 5 touchdowns, it's a little bit low compared to where he's been. I think it was his lowest season as far as touchdown production, but he did have some injuries that he was dealing with last season. The year before, he played in 16 games and he had 1,114 yards. He had 8 touchdowns, and a pretty, good force out there for Geno Smith. Geno Smith's also been the guy that's been throwing in the ball. Nothing against Geno. I think he's shown the NFL that if you give time to a quarterback to develop, he can develop into a fairly good quarterback. And I think Geno's a really good quarterback, but he's not a, quarterback that I would consider, is going to be top 10 of the league. Right now, I don't think that any of the Steelers quarterbacks, their options would be top 10 of the league either. But look at the other players that are around DK Metcalf. If George Pickens ends up staying, that's a huge, that's going to be a huge wide receiver duo, George Pickens and DK Metcalf. Then you have Darnell Washington and Pat Fryermuth as tight ends to also catch the ball. Jalen Warren out of the backfield. If they go out there and get one of these speedy, home run hitters in the draft as far as running back, and maybe even re-sign Justin Fields who can move on his own. I mean, this can really, really be a nightmare offense for defenses, especially if the offensive line does what we expect him to do. Broderick Jones moving to the left side. Hopefully he has a second year or gets to that position where we thought and hoped he would be. Fautanu coming back, going on the right side, and Frazier, if he takes a step forward based on where he was at, I mean, that would be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Say Malu coming back off that pec that may have hindered him the entire year last year. I think he's going to be healthier. That's going to be an improvement on the interior offensive line. And Mason McCormick, I mean, there's no guarantees he's going to end up being the guy that's going to be the starter. Maybe the Steelers re-sign James Daniels. Maybe they go and get another guard in free agency, or maybe Mason takes a huge step forward. Either way, I think that he's going to be better than he was last season. And so the interior offensive line is going to be better. It's going to do wonders for the rushing game and so much more. And so quarterback is going to be the biggest question mark, obviously. But let's look at let's not get too far away from the big news here and DK Metcalf. For touchdowns, he had a lot of success earlier on in his career, getting 10 touchdowns in 2020, 12 touchdowns in 2021. It's been up and down with 6, 8, and 5 the last 3 years. He's still fairly young. He's only 27 years old. Huge wide receiver. Massive man. He's the kind of guy that Arthur Smith wants out there, though. A physical, fast wide receiver, AJ Brown type. I mean, obviously, I think DK Metcalf is more of a monster than AJ Brown, but AJ Brown is no joke. For the Philadelphia Eagles. And he has been a guy that has had his way with the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. And DK as well, when he was with when the Steelers have played Seattle, he's had a game or two. But I'm excited about this. I think that you look at what Arthur Smith wants to do, the type of receivers that he wants, the type of receivers that are going to be willing and able to get in there and put their face in the pile and push. And this is your guy. Who's going to be wide receiver one, him or George Pickens? It's a guy with a $150 million contract. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But let's look at that contract real quick. So according to Sport Track, the Steelers are taking in his current contract. So it's like an addition to it. The Steelers have him added, or the contract they have here, according to Sport Track, is a 4-year contract for $132 million with a $33 million a year average salary. And he'll be a free agent, unrestricted free agent in 2030. 2025 only has a base salary and a cap hit of $18 million. So there's still quite a bit of money there in the cap for the Pittsburgh Steelers to, one, move around. I mean, the extension of TJ Watt is another one that they can do. I know that's going to be some big numbers for the future, but for this year, him doing an extension, converting some things into a signing bonus, that's going to make even more cap space. And so the Steelers have room and ability to go get some more players in free agency. This isn't a one player type of deal, so they can go out there and really make some moves and really strengthen up their team before the draft. But this is a good move. Who's going to wear 14? I don't know, but I'm hoping one of them ends up getting the option to wear number 1, whether it's George Pickens or DK Metcalf. I may have to cop that jersey. That may be one that I pick up, the number 1. I've been looking forward to somebody getting that jersey. I think it'll be a nice jersey. I thought for Pickens it would have been a sweet jersey. I think it'll be sweet for Metcalf if he ends up getting it. He may get some other single-digit number. I think he might. When Patrick Queen got number 6, I think it was reported that Joey Porter had asked about Patrick Queen getting number 6. And Tomlin told him, when you put up numbers like Patrick Queen has, and then maybe he can get a single-digit number at that point. And so Steelers aren't afraid to bend the rules or break the rules when it comes to those single-digit numbers and things of that nature when it comes to players from the outside who already established, such as a DK Metcalf. This is huge news, guys. Huge news. I strongly suspect quarterback news is going to drop within the next couple of days. Could this also mean that it could be a reunion with Russell Wilson? That's the other big news. Could this mean that this is a Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf reunion? These are guys that are familiar with each other. Last offseason, they were practicing with each other quite a bit. It was to the point where I think it was even speculated that the Pittsburgh Steelers may be trading, or DK Metcalf may be in the realms of the wide receivers that the Steelers were interested in trading for. So, this could be another push to get Wilson back, could be a push to get any of the quarterbacks in to the building. I mean, like I said, you look across the board on the players that you could be throwing the ball to. It's a beautiful sight to see. George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth, Jalen Warren behind you. That other running back position is going to be a question mark. But I'm fairly positive with the running backs that are in the draft, the Steelers are going to have a home run hitter alongside Jalen Warren. This could be a potent offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a couple of steps in the right direction. Do I think they're the full steps to get them to the Super Bowl? Well, we'll see. But hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace.